All right, guys, not very many highlights from Friday because I just wasn't sure what to expect from the market with recent weakness. Of course, as I've said in recent videos, I'm leaning short, but with the market gapping down and a big down day yesterday, a lot of times you get a reversal in the morning. People, anytime something seems easy in the market, okay, so you've got the ugly SPY yesterday, and then you get the gap down, it just seems like, what do your instincts tell you? Oh, well, then short the market. Generally, you want to do the opposite of what's obvious. Now, I wasn't willing to go long the market either at the open, but I certainly wasn't going to dive in short. Having said that, these are 5-minute candles, and ISR, you watched my videos, you know I like this stock a lot, and I like the big volume, the gap down, the sell-off, and it really held this area here and then here again in a nice narrow 5-minute candle. I just called it long over this candle, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, a break of this candle's high would be 253, and look at the high of the day. It's not like it's way above. It's 256. So 257 would be a new high of the day after the gap down. That's what we call in the chat room a bounce play gap down setup. All right, I'm already watching this for a bounce, and then I get the gap down. A break of the early high is a great entry on a stock like this. Okay, but because it gave such a low risk 5 setup, I was able to call it a 253 rather than calling the high of day break 257, even though I knew 257 would even be a decent entry. So what it does is it gets us in earlier with a tighter stop. So if it doesn't break the high of the day and it rolls over, we've got a nice tight stop. If it does, we got a little cushion between our entry and the actual high of day break that should bring people in on the bounce play gap down setup. All right, with all that said, 253 was the trigger right there. You see volume coming in, and look what happens. This thing went all the way to 285, closing pretty strong too. Somewhere when it was up in here, I told people this could be a good swing with a strong close. Now, I'm not a swing trader, and that's because look at that. You've got a nice green candle, nice bounce off the 20-day, and a very strong stock. I would look for this to continue higher next week, depending on the market, of course, but really like the looks of this chart right now. And that's why when it came down for 4 days, after all the good news in this stock, on declining volume, by the way, and got in that area that we look for between the 8 and 20-day moving averages, that's where I look for bounces. And man, that's clean, and it looks good now. I'm not in it anymore. Made my daily goal in this stock alone, though. PHM, let me switch to 5-minute candles. When it looked like this, I turned on the projector, showed everybody the setup. Hey, this is running up into a bunch of moving averages, and I like the home builders short in market weakness. This is one of my favorite groups to short, and just called it as a short below this candle here, which triggered right there. Now, it didn't exactly tear it up, but you can see it paid off. And that, that was no big deal, but it still worked. GM I had on short watch, and I just was doing other things. I never caught an entry, but you can kind of see an intraday bear flag right there. Whoops. An intraday bear flag right there. So as it broke that, pretty nice short. But I didn't call a short in that one. Certainly right to watch this because of the head and shoulders pattern. But I got to be honest, didn't make a nickel from that big sell-off today. I was doing other things. I had a nice day, had a nice week. What else do I want to talk about real quick here? To be honest, I'm kind of anxious to start my weekend. We did have some other profitable calls in the room today. Zozo made a couple, CHK, OPTT. Again, I didn't map them out so I could show you the exact entry and stop. I'd have to go look it up in the logs, and I'd really rather start my weekend. So it was a nice profitable day. To me, my best trade was ISR there. And like I said, it looks good going into next week. This is the SPY. The market's still open for about 6 more minutes. Nothing pretty here, and it looks like it's trying to close near its lows. So again, I'm leaning short next week, but at some point, you can get a nice violent snapback too. So on an intraday basis, we'll be trying to find shorts, and we'll always keep an eye on the SPY. One other thing I want to show you real quick, and then I'm out of here, MNGA. Now, this is a chart that you look at it, and there's not much standing out, okay? But for me, this move up to 240, and this move back up to 240, and now you're just in a consolidation. Get some lines going here. Okay, so you're just in a consolidation ever since the 2 big moves, right? But it's holding the 20-day real nicely. It had big volume a few days ago, and now 3 red days in a row, but a nice narrow candle. kind of starting to remind me of ISR. They certainly look different, but you are getting down between the blue and red line of the 8 and 20-day moving average. And I like the story behind this stock. So, you know, maybe do some research this weekend. This is something that if the market weren't so ugly, I'd be building a position in this one and ISR. But in the because of the weak market, I'm not willing to be in anything overnight. So I will just look to find trades in this. But I really do like this one. If it can get up over, like on Monday, if it can get up over $1.55, which is Friday's high, you've got another catalyst, Thursday's high just to the left of that, over 160. And then if this ever can get enough momentum to get through 180, you may be up here again, revisiting 240. Not in a really weak market, though, so make sure any trades you take in MNGA are with the market in your favor at the same time. Okay, listen, have a great weekend. This isn't a very thorough video. I will put out a video on Sunday showing any charts that I'm looking at going into Monday. But until then, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you then.